Welcome to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast, where you'll discover business, mindset, and leadership strategies to put your music business on autopilot. I'm your host, Dr. Fabiana Claure, pianist and former university professor turned seven-figure entrepreneur dedicated to empowering artists worldwide. Whether you're a seasoned musician or other creative entrepreneur, this podcast is your guide to financial, artistic, and lifestyle freedom. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Fabiana Claure, and today we are talking about one of my favorite topics, which is harmony, how to balance music and creativity. For the longest time, while I was starting my first business back in 2011, my Superior Academy of Music, and also becoming a mom, there were so many competing priorities in my life that felt that when I sat at the piano to practice, I was taking a luxury. I was being selfish. I was doing something that was not actually profit producing and did not have a justification from a business standpoint. And this caused me to have a misconception around how I could actually profit and monetize my creative pursuits. In my view at the time, having finished my doctoral degree in piano performance, having done all the things as a musician, I remember telling myself, unless I get paid well to do performances, or unless I get paid well to do things related to actually, being a concert artist, I will not be just taking any gig or doing anything that is not really, at my range of what I felt I deserved to earn. And while I can understand that perspective, the problem with that is that a career that depends on performing income is extremely unlikely for most musicians in today's day and age, right? To depend strictly on income related to performing is to set yourself up for failure, and also to really underutilize the amazing resources that now musicians have through the advent of technology, online space, teaching, Zoom, all the things that you can do with technology. There is absolutely no reason why you need to put all your eggs in your basket and thinking, unless you get paid for performing and you're always doing highly paid engagements as an artist, whether you're a performer, you're a composer, a creator, a producer, expecting to be depending on the income from your creativity is, in my opinion, setting yourself up for failure. Because most of the opportunities that are based on paying for your performances and your art and your albums and anything that has a relationship with your direct creative pursuits, even publishing books, those should be looked as lead magnets for a bigger business. They should not be the end game. You should absolutely continue working on your creativity, but you need to think about, how do you actually have a business in the back that you can use your artistry to draw attention, to build your brand, to create visibility and credibility into a bigger business. And so for many years, my performing side took a back seat in my life, simply because I did not see that relationship between, how can I justify sitting at the piano when I have a baby to take care of, and I have a business to run, when there's so many things that require my attention and that more immediately felt that could be priority, right? Especially as you're starting out and creating a life and a business, everything is important, and time is really limited, and you need to think about, okay, how do I focus and how do I prioritize? And so just sitting in the piano to play, in my perspective at the time, felt like I just couldn't afford to do that. And if you're like me, and I talk to so many musicians, this has become, unfortunately, a trend. And what happens with that is that if you continue pushing back your artistry and not giving it the priority that it needs to stay alive, to stay active as an artist, that part of you, that spark, that fire that allowed you to become a musician in the first place, will start dimming down. And a part of you will actually feel like it's not thriving, will feel depressed, will feel like something is missing. And sometimes it may even be hard to pinpoint exactly what is missing. But what I have found to be the shift, the epiphany, if you will, was when I decided, okay, what if I were to take a step back and build a brand online, and how could I now serve through the collection of all of my skills. And if I have an online program helping musicians build, grow, and scale their businesses, how does my performing side tie into that vision? How does being a musician inform my perspective in order to guide other clients, guide musicians in their journey? How can I now utilize what I do as an artist and continue active as a pianist to actually continue spreading this message, building this movement of prosperity and you know empowerment for artists around the world? And so today, I'm so happy to say that after many years of not seeing that relationship, I am more committed to practicing and performing and keeping my artistry alive, not because I expect the income that comes from those, venues and engagements to be the one and all be all, but instead because what I do as an artist keeps me in touch with my audience, keeps me in touch with my community, keeps me in touch with what I know my clients are going through in their own journey, and makes me a better strategist, a better mentor, a better guide to continue relating and connecting with those who I'm serving, right? So I want you to ask yourself, what if you could now unite your skills as well and find the relationship between what you do creatively, whether it's as a performer, as a composer, as a producer, whatever you do as an artist, and tie that into the other aspects of your life, the things that you do for money, the things that you're doing to create your livelihood? What if you could actually use those avenues? There's so many musicians that come to me and they've been building amazing videos on YouTube and creating a subscriber base and followers and putting so much creativity and emphasis on building a beautiful brand online, but there is nothing that they offer at the end. There's nothing that they're actually sending their audience to do. And so unfortunately, they're always, disappointed that it's not monetizable, but it's not because the videos are not monetizable or the creativity is not monetizable. It's simply because there's a business backend that is missing. That's all. If you are able to create something to send your audience to book a call with you, to talk to you after they've been exposed to your creativity, whatever that looks like, now you have the perfect blend of artistry and business. Now you're creating true harmony because you don't need to depend on streaming income, downloads, or royalties, or having people place your music in other places and depend on that income. You can pursue all those avenues, but you want to make sure that you have a deeper, bigger way of monetizing the interest that you may spark through your creative output. I have so many conversations with musicians who have invested thousands of dollars in creating an album, and just, it's been months and in sometimes years in the making. And I've hired musicians and I've hired producers and blah, blah, blah. And I ask them, like, what's the plan once the album goes out? Like, what are you going to do with it? And usually I don't get a solid answer. Usually the answer is like, I hope people to it. I hope people listen to it. I hope people download the music. I hope people spread the word. I hope it helps me become more credible. But there's no actual monetizable business plan behind that creative outlet. And so my call to action for those of you who are listening to this podcast is that now, if you start thinking in this way and start asking yourself, how